They say shame has a way of tightening its grip. Never let it bury your voice, letting it choking your voice until you believe silence is safer than truth. But silence is no shield. It doesn't protect, it poisons. And every secret you bury is a piece of power you give away. This is not just a story, it's a warning. The afternoon sun struck the Lagos lagoon like 1,000 broken mirrors. Cars streamed across the long bridge, their horns tangled into a restless symphony. The wind tugged at clothes and hair, rattling plastic bags caught in the railings. And there, on the concrete edge, stood Sandra Okoro, 8 months pregnant, a green gown clinging to her body, her hair whipped across her face. Tears carved rivers down her cheeks as she stared at the dark water below. Her phone buzzed non-stop in her hand. News alerts, insults, whispered rumors turned public. Each vibration felt like another stone tied to her chest, dragging her down. She wanted silence, she wanted stillness, she wanted an end, but the world would not let her. Sandra had grown up in a jegunal, where secrets were currency and silence was survival. Her father, a stern church deacon, preached righteousness but hid affairs that split the family apart. Her mother wore shame like a wrapper tied tightly around her waist. From them, Sandra learned early: never speak the full truth, never show your wounds, smile, hide, endure. In secondary school, she was bright, talented, drawn to painting the lagoon's restless waters. Teachers praised her, but classmates mocked her quietness. Mummy's saint, they called her, not knowing she spent nights curled in bed, clutching sketchbooks full of dark drawings no one ever saw. Secrets became her refuge. When she met Kohler at university, a smooth talker with wealth and ambition, she thought she had found a different path. He called her queen, lifted her chin when she looked down, told her she was too fine to be hidden. But Kohler too carried shadows. He promised marriage but disappeared for weeks, leaving only cryptic messages. When Sandra discovered she was pregnant, he insisted they keep it quiet. People don't need to know yet. Timing is everything, and she agreed, because secrecy was her native tongue. At first, the secrecy felt protective. She wore loose clothes. She smiled through gossip. She told her colleagues at the design firm that she was just tired. But the city of Lagos has no patience for silence. Its eyes are sharp, its tongue's sharper. A neighbor spotted her at the clinic. A co-worker noticed the swelling beneath her gown. Soon, WhatsApp groups buzzed with speculation. Who was the father? Why the hiding? Why the shame? The cruelest blow came when a photo surfaced. Sandra and Kohler in a hotel lobby, his arm around another woman. The blogs pounced. Pregnant side chick, read one headline. Her phone exploded with messages, friends demanding explanations, family calling her disgraceful, strangers typing venom she could not erase. Each word cut deeper than the last. She felt her secrets slipping from her grip, twisted into weapons by others. The silence she once controlled had turned against her, and so, on that sweltering afternoon, she found herself at the lagoon's edge. The water below looked endless, black and heavy. Sandra imagined sinking, her body swallowed. The whispers above silenced forever. A Danfo bus screeched by, passengers leaning out, some pointing. "CAM, that woman, one jump." Someone shouted. The crowd began to gather, drivers slowing, pedestrians pulling out phones. Sandra's chest tightened. She was no longer invisible. Every secret she had fought to hide now pulsed under the gaze of strangers. She gripped the rail, heart pounding, tears streaming. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was her younger sister, Kioma. "Sandra, please, come home. Don't let them win. I'm begging you." The message blurred in her vision. She wanted to believe Kioma's words. Her knees buckled. The lagoon seemed to pull her name. The wind carried voices shouting, pleading. A middle-aged trader dropped her basket of oranges and rushed forward. "Sister Abig, no duayem, God day." A police officer blew his whistle, waving at the crowd to step back. Some obeyed, others raised their phones higher, hungry to record tragedy. Sandra closed her eyes. In the darkness behind her lids, she saw her childhood self sketching waves in silence. She saw her mother swallowing tears in a kitchen thick with smoke. She saw Kohler's smooth smile, lies dripping from his lips. And then she saw her unborn child, tiny, fragile, waiting, a heartbeat that had never yet touched the world. "Who will protect you?" she whispered, "if I let go?" The lagoon roared below. Her pulse roared within. Sandra stood on the thin line between silence and survival. Then, something inside her shifted. For years, she had believed silence was safety, that secrets kept her strong. But now, she saw the truth. It was silence that had chained her here. Silence that had made her prey to gossip. Silence that almost drowned her. Her child deserved a mother, unshackled. Sandra took a deep breath. She stepped back from the edge. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Relief washed over some faces. Disappointment over others who had hoped for spectacle. The police officer guided her gently down. The trader pressed a bottle of water into her hand. For the first time in years, Sandra looked people in the eye not with fear, but with a fragile kind of defiance. News spread quickly. Pregnant woman rescued at Lagoon Bridge. Blogs wrote stories, some sympathetic, most mocking, but Sandra did not hide anymore. She returned home to Kioma, who wrapped her in a fierce embrace. That night, Sandra spoke not in whispers, not in guarded fragments, but fully. She told Kioma everything, about Kola, about the lies, about the crushing weight of secrets. Kioma listened without judgment. When Sandra finished, tears ran down her sister's face. You carried too much alone. You don't have to anymore. It was not easy. The world still gossiped. Strangers still whispered. But Sandra no longer bowed under the noise. She began therapy. She returned to painting, pouring her turmoil onto canvas. She spoke at a women's support group, telling her story, raw, unpolished, unashamed. And slowly, the chains of silence fell away. Months later, with her baby daughter asleep in a sling across her chest, Sandra returned to the Lagoon Bridge. The water still shimmered with danger, still carried the weight of her near end. But she did not stand at the edge this time. She stood on the safe side, watching the waves crash against the pylons, feeling the wind brush her cheeks. Her daughter stirred, and Sandra whispered, "We survived, my love, and we will not live in shadows." She knew the world would never stop talking. Lagos would always hum with gossip. But she also knew that secrets only hold power when hidden. Once spoken, they lose their chains. Sandra Okoro's story spread quietly through her community, not as scandal, but as caution. Some mocked, some pitied, but many learned. Because in a city where silence was often mistaken for strength, Sandra had revealed a harder truth. Secrets rot the soul when locked away. They grow teeth in the dark. But faced in the open, they lose their poison. Her life became a living reminder. Never let shame bury your voice. Never believe silence will protect you. Never hand your power to secrets. The lagoon had almost claimed her, but instead, it became the place of her rebirth. Sandra survived. She chose to speak, and in speaking, she was free.